Mr. Shraven hopes the room will be to your satisfaction.
Wow.
Ah, yes, and the view is second to none.
It's magnificent.
We open up with a man that's getting his PhD at LSE in economics and is going to go into the private sector most likely and make a fortune. And yet he sees the towers hit by the planes, he sees them go down, and in a moment makes a absolute beeline towards a different life, towards a selfless life, and one that serves a greater good. And it's a story that I think is reflective of what many people did and felt after 9/11. And I think it's also important that it's a man that serves that's not extra special, he's not extraordinary. He's certainly really intelligent, but there are a bunch of intelligent people out there. He's not James Bond. There are no special gadgets or fast cars. He's a guy with, a $10 haircut and a bad suit, but he knows good and he fights for good, and I think that is kind of maybe cheesy or archaic as that sounds. That man of integrity is something good to watch on screen.
You Americans like to think of yourselves as direct, but I wonder if perhaps you are just rude.
You Russians think of yourselves as poets, but perhaps you're just touchy.
That post-Cold War world still contains some ancient enmities, but now the stakes have been changed, now the threats have been changed, now the relative fortunes of the major players have been changed. Do we need Jack Ryans in the middle of all that when complicated financial worlds that are so interconnected and so fragile, difficult to understand, but we know that they can collapse. We know that they are at threat, can perhaps be understood by people like Jack if they're prepared to use their skilled, brilliant analytical brains. Are they prepared to do so covertly? Are they prepared to be secretive about it? Dare we ask them to be? Do we want to ask them to be? And if we do, what does it make for that particular individual? What is it like to be a Jack Ryan, lying to your partner, lying to your work colleagues, and possibly, as we see here, risking life and limb for ruthless individuals who aren't going to stop at death and destruction. So it felt as though the sort of classic DNA of, in this case, Russia versus America, and a new kind of still thinking, still considered, still civilized, still decent Jack Ryan could actually live pretty interestingly in the 21st century.
Do I really have to remind you what's at stake here, Jack? There's a very real scenario here where we don't get out of this alive. Any of us.
It's the kind of heroes we always like to see. That's the John McClanes of the world. It's the Han Solos of the world. It's the people that are not afraid to buck the system and are not beholden to an ideology or a structure. They have an inner moral compass. They have a strict adherence to that individualism that makes them brave, that makes them very brave, that they're willing to go up against formidable opponents, even if the people are telling them that they're wrong. That is what is interesting, especially now about 2014. It is a very murky world, and the demarcation between good and bad is blurred. And I don't think it has much to do with, countries or flags or all that. It's a different world.